Okay, okay, okay. So is anyone there? Can you guys hear me? I'm sure I'm clear. Um, so let me know if you can hear me. It's a network issue. I think it should be fine. Okay. It's a network issue. I think it should be fine. Because then my mic is working perfectly. So I'm gonna get started. Maybe I'll just do a quick recap. Maybe as the rest are joining, they'll be able to grab from where we stop. So this being recorded, so they'll be able to watch it again. So first, gonna do a quick recap of what did on Monday. So I mentioned an expression is a piece of code that produces a value, which means it is that's how it actually like how it's stated. It is x or sorry 3 plus 2 is equals to 5 or 1 plus 1 is equals to 2. So that piece of code that produces a value is called an expression. And we talked about syntax error. We talked about just a couple Python fundamentals. Then we talked about data types in Python. We talked about integers, floats. We also talked about how to check the type. And we also talked about Python being a case sensitive language. That if you are putting or you are coding, you should be careful with the cases that you use, even with Boolean or with just normal print statements. Okay, so we talked about complex numbers, we talked about lists and tuples, we talked about sets, me talked about basically lots of things, and I gave an exercise that we did together. We did an exercise together, which was we also talked about dynamic binding and dynamic typing. So let me just quickly re-explain these parts before we get started into today's class. So dynamic typing and static typing works in this way. Python uses dynamic typing, right? So which simply means it automatically adds a data set. So if Python uses static typing, we will have to declare the data set before we run our code, else it will throw us an error. Examples of languages that uses static typing is like your C plus plus, your Java to clear the data type before you run your code. But Python automatically adds the data type to it. So instead of you writing in 7, you just have to write a is equals to 7 and it will give you the correct output. And dynamic binding and static binding. Someone also asked me about this. It works in the same way, right? You can't for static binding you can't reassign um a very a new value with a different data type to the same variable name. As you can see now in this first one, which is dynamic binding, with a is equals to 5, right? We printed a, and with a is equals to Peter, which is a string. 5 is an integer and Peter is a string. And we printed it and both them printed well without throwing us an error. But if it was using static binding and we use integer a is equals to 7 and string a is equals to Peter, it's going to throw us an error because static binding, you can't change, you can't add another type to the same variable name. And we also talked about all these variable methods or techniques that you can easily do instead of writing the long, so let's shorten it a little bit. So we gave an example, we gave some couple examples here. We also talked about we talked about, yeah, we talked about keywords and identifiers, how you write your variable names, what you should note when you're doing it, and static and dynamic apps. So static is your calendar and your clock. Okay, they don't require user information. So you so when checking your calendar, the calendar does not ask you for your name or your login details or something like that. They don't require that. All you just have to do is just click calendar and you just see your data, yeah, out of there. Easy. But unlike the social media channels, or sorry, social media apps, they require information from the users. Okay? They require your name, they require your email, your profile picture, so on and so forth. And we also talked about inputs, which is getting data from users, right? We also talked about adding a variable to an input, which means we managed to be able to store the input of a user into a variable name. So once the user types in an input, it stores to a variable. What else we talked about? We talked about, yeah, basically that's basically all we talked about. Oh yeah, we also talked about adding this more of like a place, I call it a placeholder, just to show that what is it called? Just to tell the user you what information you require. So enter your name, then the user will say, okay, that what is trying to ask instead of just an empty box. And you can also check the type after the variable receives the input. And we did an exercise which was creating uh, a Python calculator. And I gave an assignment saying that we should create our own Python calculator that does the same thing but uses a different operator, which some of us did, but some of us didn't. But it's fine. Okay, we have to move ahead to today's class. So today we're going to talk about conditionals, right? The remaining ones that are here. Remember, this is a project during course, which means we are going to have to dive into the projects that we are meant to work on soon. So I'm just going to teach you guys the necessary knowledge you have to know. Of course, these other ones are necessary, okay? They are very necessary, but for this project that we are going to make together, I'm going to only give you the necessary knowledge. Okay, so all these ones that are here now, we can take them maybe later, but as for now, we're going to have to move ahead at light speed to conditional statements. They are very, very important, and we are going to use them a lot. For example, now these operators now is something that is very easy that you can easily do by yourself, especially if you know mathematics. So all these things are not really that tough. The beginning stage is not really that tough. Just have to just skip ahead to the tough parts. So please, if you can hear me, just drop something like, just say hi, say happy new month or something like that. Well, Well, we're gonna have to go into today's class. So happy new month. It depends on the time you are seeing this. You're probably seeing it maybe a few weeks later or maybe a few months later. But happy new month regardless. 1st of July. So let's get on to today's topic, which is if slash else conditional statements. Now, these conditional statements are simple. Trust me, they are very simple. Now let us take an example. Before we dive into this login function demo, okay, let us take an example. So I almost forgot to mention something now. This box that are here, this square you're seeing here, they are called cells. Okay. This is the first cell, your second cell, so they are called cells. Okay. Just for you to know. So now let's make a variable called let's just say num. Let's just say number one. Okay. Let's just say age. Okay, let's say age. Let's say age. And let's say age is going to be what now? The input. Remember, I told you guys what input is. Um, let's just say enter your age. Okay. Now we're going to write a condition. We're asking for an input, right? We're asking for an input. So first, let us write the condition. Okay. So what is the condition now? This particular code is going to work in it. Let us write the comments now. These are comments, hashtags. Now, let's write the comment. Let's say the task we're meant to do is create a, an app that only accepts ages of 18 or more. So, which simply means the age input, so it must be at least the person or yeah, the person must at least be 18. So if the person puts anything less than 18, it is going to say no. So let us say if, remember it is if conditional statement. So if age, which is the variable name that is here, if age is, so how is it going to be now? Is greater than or equals to 18, then what are we going to do now? We're going to put print. We're going to put print. Let us say you are of age. Now, for those just joining, if you have any questions about what I just did, just let me know. Okay. Let me just know if I can keep on going. If it is clear, let me know. Just let me know whether it is clear or not, so we can keep on going. Let me know. So is it clear? So I'm thinking it's probably clear. Oh, sorry, it's probably clear. Okay, probably clear. So we'll move on. So we'll move on. Please let me know if you can see my screen. So if it is clear, please let me know, or want me to like recap what I said. Okay, I should keep going. So it is clear, right? Okay. So I don't want to leave anyone behind. So as I was saying, so if the age is greater than or equals to 18, then print you are of age. So that means if this is true, then do this. So we're going to have to add something else that continues with that, which is else. Else print you are not of age. Now let's run this, and it's it's gonna show us something that you're gonna see now. You're gonna see something that's very awesome now. So we're gonna run this, and you see something real quick. So just to confirm, hope this if and else is very clear. So enter your age. Let me say 12. And click on enter. And let's see what it gives us. Now I can already see that it's giving me an error. Right? This is giving me an error. Now let us read the error. The error is type error, right? Which simply means greater than and equals to sign and not supported between instances of string and integer. What the hell does that mean? You're probably wondering. Which simply means the input, we added an integer here, right? It was an integer that we added here, but it seems like Python is seeing it as a string. So we're going to reassign. We're going to make sure that this input of that is going to be from the user is an integer. So I'm going to put this in a bracket of int, right? And this will solve the type error. Okay, because once you add an input, it automatically sees it as string as default. So if you are dealing with other types of data types, you're gonna have to specify it. So if we're going to run this again now. Let's see how it goes. Enter your age, let me say 15, and I click on enter. Sorry for that break. So I don't know if you can still hear me, but I should be audible. If something messed up in my life, so um, apologize. That wasn't meant to happen. Wasn't meant to happen. Okay. So please, if you can hear me, drop a comment that you can hear me, please. I really need to make sure that this internet is back on track. Okay. So think I should be clear now. Think I should be clear. This video took some time to work on. I wasn't expecting this, but okay. Image, be sure I'm audible. Yeah, to make sure. Okay, I'm audible. Okay. So sorry about that, guys. So let us get back into the class. So as I was saying, we created an app. Okay, I miss the PP. We created an app or more of like a code that runs this that accepts the ages of 18 or more. So sorry. Okay, so we simply created a variable called age. Okay, created a variable called age, and we added a statement which was input, and we made the input of the user to be an integer, and we checked, which was a condition, if the age, which means if the input from the user is greater than or equals to 18, then print out or print on the console, or print out that you are of age, else print you are not of age. Right? So this is the basic understanding of if. Now there is another concept which I will introduce to you later, which is elif. But before that, let us work on this login function demo. Let me explain what this is. Now, these three strings you are seeing here is nothing special, right? It is nothing confusing or advanced. It is simply a multi-line comment. For your single line comment, which means just one line, we added our hashtag here, okay, which made this text here a comment, which simply means Python will ignore it and would execute whatever we have here. So to make a multi-line comment, we simply have to add 3 quotes, and then anything I'll type inside will be a comment. So now the actual credentials is what? The email, which is my email, and the password, which is 1234. So now the login function demo now. We create 2 variables, which is the email and what? The password. And in order for us to check whether the input from the user is matching these credentials here, we have to write a condition. So now first we have to receive an input from the user, which is the email and the password, right? So you guys understand this. So the condition now is if email is equals to this that is here. Are you getting me? Now this equals to, right, is simply to ensure that the it doesn't come with any else. Basically means we want exactly peterluwade55 at gmail.com, and password is also equals to 1234. Okay, so if the email, which means if this variable receives an input that is this, and the password receives an input that is this, then print what? Login successful. Else print invalid credentials. So this is actually like basic things in if conditional statement. So let's run this code. Let's test it out. So enter your email address. Let me put a wrong email address. Let me just say don't okay bread. You guys chill. Don't mind me, right? Just flow with it. So bread at gmail.com. It will be surprised that actually me record this. So after that, so click on enter, and then we have to set the password. Oh, mistake. Okay, see. Password is 512. Enter, and let's see what it will say. And as you can see, it is saying invalid credentials, which simply means the information is not matching what is there. Now let's move on. So now this is the basic syntax of if conditions, right? Okay, now this is the second is an upgraded version of this guys here, right? Now this is the same credentials, same variable names, but this time we're adding an elif. Now this if statement is actually the same as the one that is up there. Now we're adding an elif. Later we're going to explain what elif is. Now elif is simply saying if the first if statement does not work, then do the second one. That is simply it. So if this first condition does not work, then do the second condition, or do this third condition, or something like that. You can have like 100 elifs. Doesn't really matter. So now, what does the elif say? Now the first if condition says if what's going on? Hope I'm still audible. What's going on now? Please, if I'm audible, please let me know. If I'm audible, please let me know. I think the network is back. So let me keep on going. So now, the first condition says if the email receives an input that is this, and the browser receives an input that is this, then print login successful. But now there are times in your apps that the email will be correct, but the password is not correct. So now if the email is equals to this and password, now this exclamation mark and equals to means not equals to. Okay, this exclamation mark and equals to simply means not equals to. So if the email is correct and the password is not correct, then print please try again. Else, if the email and the password are both wrong, then invalid credentials. And let us text this thing. Let us test it. Pardon me. Let us test it. So let us click on this. So let's click on this and let's see what it brings out. So please, I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Please let me know. I won't really want to repeat and repeat and repeat. So now the email address, let us use the same email address, which is bread. Okay, this time let us use the actual email address, which is Peter. mm, Let us use the actual email address, which is Peter Eluwade55 at gmail.com. Okay, then click on enter. And then this time we're not going to write the correct password, we're going to write a wrong password intentionally so that the elif statements can work. So let us say the password we wrote is 222222222, whatever. And click on enter. And let's see what it says. And it says please try again. So that's how if, elif, and else statements work. So this is basically the blueprint of how this thing works. So if the condition is true, then write something, right? And elif, which simply means if so and so, same thing. If condition 2 is also true, then write something else. Else write something else. Let me explain this. Also, like how you saw in the first one, which is if this condition is true, then print login. Elif, print something else. Else, also print something different. So I don't really know if you guys have got to this conditional statement, because you really need to understand this conditional statement before we move into a much more higher version of this. So please, if you want me to explain a part again, please let me know. Let me know. Just drop it a comment. Just tell me what did you miss. Let me go over it again. Let me know, please. If you have gotten everything already, let me know, because this is a very important foundation. Because if you don't get these conditions right, you won't be able to get other things right. So please, if you want me to explain something again, please let me know. If I'll just keep on going. So if it- don't worry, if there's anything, just let me know in the comments. Um I'll keep on explaining. So we're going to have to move on to a much more um higher version, which is the next thing is nested conditions. You didn't get it. So you didn't get the conditions right. Okay, so let me explain it again. Let me explain the conditions again. Since you didn't get it, so let me re-explain from this part. Now the conditions work this way. It simply says if a statement is true, right? Just like you can see here now, the age is equals to an input from the user. Okay, maybe adding this input now is maybe is a little bit confusing. So if I'm to remove this input right now, let me put 18 here. I can remove this so that we don't need to ask the user for an input. So if the age now, presently the age is 18 here now, you getting what I'm saying? If the age is greater than or equals to 18, which means if the value of this variable called age is greater than or equals to 18, then print you are of age. Else, which simply means if this condition does not work, then print you are not of age. That's basically how it works. Okay, I have a network issue. Okay. I can continue. So you can also watch the recorded video that will be posted on YouTube. So you can watch it or you can come on LinkedIn and watch it again. So let me just go over to the next. But I really want you to follow, so let me just watch this now. Now, same thing here. Now, this one receives two inputs from the users. Okay, I just want everyone to like follow up. So if the email is equals to peterwade55@gmail.com, and now this and is important, which means we're having to we're meant to have two conditions that must be true. So if the email and the password are equals to the values that are here, then print login successful. Else, if this email and the password are not correct, then print invalid credentials. Now I introduce Elif here. And Elif works this way. It simply says if the email blah 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 is equals to this and this, then print login successful. Elif, which simply means if this first condition is not correct, okay, then do this condition, which is elif the email is equals to this and the password is not equals to this, which simply means if the email is correct and the password is not correct, then print please try again. Else, print invalid credentials. So I think I have broken it down a lot. So we're gonna have to move on to the next. So you can also watch the recorded version if you didn't completely get it because of network. So now the next thing is nested conditions. Now, what is nested condition? It's simply adding another condition inside a condition. So you add one condition into the other. That is nested conditions. So now it works this way. Same credentials, same variable, same condition, but a little bit different. If the email, I've explained this already now, and I've explained the elif. Now, after the condition, let's say the condition of the first if was false, and then the second one too is false. Now, basically means if the email is peterlowadi55@gmail.com and the password is not correct, first it will print please try again, and it will request the user to input the password again. Let me say it again. First, if the email and the password is equals to the values that are here, then print login successful. If the email is equals to this and the password is not equals to, the password is not equal to the value that is here, then print please try again and request for another input. As you can see, it is under this elif that is here. It's under this elif. It is not under the if. So after if, elif and else, and then under the elif, it has an it has its own separate if and else under it, which means we are simply running a condition inside this condition. So we are requesting another input, which is the password. Using the same variable name, password, right? So if the password is not correct, then input the correct password again. So I was practically saying, and it will be stored into this variable. And if this variable that is here, if this password is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, remember this is our password. If the password is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, then print success, else print wrong. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now let us run this code. Okay, it's better for me to run this code and show you how it works. Now enter your email address. So let's just write the right email address, which is peter55@gmail.com. You click on enter, and the next thing you say you should enter our password. Let's assume you don't know the password. There's a 42321, and click on enter again. And you can see now it is not correct. It is saying please try again and enter the correct password again. The print statement that we wrote here are now being executed. So if we are to now put the correct password following this condition that is here, it's going to say success. As you can see, it is showing us success, which simply means we have successfully logged in. Now, this is a conditional statement exercise. Now, the task is find minimum of 3 given numbers. Okay. Now, this is a word problem. Remember what computer scientists true purpose or true reason or probably, yeah, let us say purpose of learning computer is not just building cool stuff, it's actually solving problems. So we are going to have to solve this particular problem, which is find the minimum of 3 given numbers, which simply means if the user will give us the first number, the user will give us the second number, the user will give us the third number, and we will have to find the minimum, which is the smallest. Okay, so it's very simple. It is very, very simple. So we're basically just using our just normal mathematical operators, which is less than hand sign and the greater than hand sign, if I'm correct. Now let us talk about this question that is here. Now, how does this work? There is the first input, there is the second input, and there is the third input. Now, the first condition says if number one, that means if this first number is less than the second number, okay, and the second number is less than the third number, then the smallest, which or the minimum, is the first. Now, if you don't understand this, the problem now is not Python. It is understanding how this English works. I'm telling you for a fact. It is not mathematics that's your problem. It is not Python that's your problem. It's the English, because the English can be a very big problem. But if you get to understand how it works, I'm definitely sure that English should not be a problem in this particular word problem that is here. So now let me explain it again. The first number, okay, is simply saying if the first number is less than the second number, okay, let's assume the first number is 1, and the second number is 2, and the third number is what? Is 3. Now, if 1 is less than 2 and 2 is less than 3, then the smallest is 1. Finish. That is basically the first condition that is there. That's basically what is in this first condition. Then print minimum is num 1, as you can see here. Now, what is the second condition, which is the if? Now let me change this to 2. Let me change this to 1. Now, what is it saying? Is my network working? Okay. What is it saying? It's simply saying if the number 2, which is the second input, which is 1 that is here, is less than 2, and the second number is also less than 3, then the minimum is the second input. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. If this if this one that is here now, because for a fact 1 is less than 2 and 1 is less than 3, so it is saying if num2 is less than num1, if this input here, let's say the input that is there is 1, is less than the first input that is there, which is 2, and the num2 here, which is 1, is less than 3, then it is obviously the number 2 that is the smallest. Else, so we don't need to write any other condition. We have determined if the number 1 is the smallest, or determined if the number 2 is the smallest. So automatically, if the number 3 is less than number 2 and number 2 is less than number 1, this will be the smallest. So instead of writing that condition, we just say else. That means if number 2 and the number 1 are greater than number 3, then the minimum is 3. So let us test it. Let us test it. So let me remove all these um numbers I have here, because it will cause us an error if I'm to run it. So I'm going to run this. And now it is going to ask us for our first input, then our second input, then our third input. So yeah, the first input, let's say the first number is going to be, let's say 12. And we click on enter. And then let's say the second number is let's say 15. And then we click on enter. And then the third number is let's say maybe 19. So let us make the third number 19. I think should have zoomed in a little bit. So 1 and 9. Now the minimum is going to be the first number. Okay, the minimum is the first number because 12 is less than 5. As you can see, the first number is less than the second number, and the second number is less than the third number. So the minimum is meant to be 12. Now, with this, I'm sure that you guys have probably grabbed a few things. in this past couple of minutes. That is meant to be an exercise too. Okay, I'm meant to make uh so we're gonna have to do this exercise too. Remember, I told you we have to push this a little bit fast. Of course, I'll break it down, but I have to push it a little bit fast. So now, how does this exercise to work? Now we're going to optimize our conditions here. Okay, we're going to use good conditions. Now we're going to make an ATM machine menu, right? So what does this ATM machine menu do? Pardon me. First, it changes the pin, it checks the balance, it withdraws, it deposits, and it exits. Now, first we're going to have to create a variable called menu. Okay, with the input of so we're going to have to receive an input from the user, and it's going to be in numbers. I don't know if you guys have used maybe this recent bots like WhatsApp, but I use this WhatsApp bot. So all you have to do is just drop an alphabet and then it gives you an output. Okay, let's say it's A that you're doing and A is transfer. So once you just type or A and you click on enter or you click on send to this name bank WhatsApp, but it says okay, what do you want to transfer to? Which bank is it? OPay? A is it Money Point? B is it Pampay? C. So if you click on C, it will choose the bank Pampay. So that's basically what we're doing here. So if we click on if the user enters one, okay, enter one for pin change, enter two for balance check, enter three for withdrawal, enter four for deposit, enter five for exit. Now let us check this out. Now if the menu, okay, it simply means if the input from the user is equals to 1, then print pin change. L if is equal to 3, print withdraw. If is 4, print deposit. Else print exit. Now let us test this out. Like this is very safe. This is very easy. So it's just basic condition. Now note we are going to build a much more advanced ATM than this. I'm not sure I might get there, but let's see how it goes. So let us run this code. So we're going to run this code and let's see what it gives us. Now I hope it hasn't gotten tough yet too. Please, I hope it hasn't gotten tough yet. I hope you guys are not really having a hard time following me. I know that there are what's it called? It can be network issues. So I really hope you are following. So let us try since like so that was one and let's see what it gives us. So I'm gonna go down. So I really hope I'm not too Okay. So sorry about that. I think I had some system issue and it took me off the live. But so let's quickly round up. Let's quickly round it up. So let me share my screen back. Let me know if my screen is clear. If you're still following, I don't know if can you hear me. So at the stage. Okay. Let me know if you can still see my screen. Can you guys still hear me? So let me just drop a comment, just say okay, you can hear me. If you can't, let me try and figure something out. So I'm gonna have to end the stream because it's already like 8 already. It's 1 hour. So I'll drop the assignment. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'll drop the assignment on the community. And if you're probably listening from YouTube or LinkedIn and you want to join the community, just let me know in the comments or send me a DM on my LinkedIn page. So due to some technical difficulties, I might have to stop the stream here today. So we'll continue. The next live would be on TikTok. That'll be just a simple answer question and answer section. We're not really going to use code because it's Friday. So we're just going to just interact with each other, just to know more about each other, just to greet, let us know our names, just to vibe. And then if you have any questions related to Python or tech, then you can let me know during the TikTok live. That's basically it. So I'm gonna have to stop here, guys. So thank you for joining today's class. I'll drop the assignment on the community. Thank you for joining today's class. The recorded version will be dropped on YouTube and will be shared maybe today or tomorrow. So thank you guys and see you guys in the next live stream, which is going to be hosted on TikTok. And TikTok live are not going to be recorded. So that we should know. So bye guys. See you guys on Friday.